Super7 has been keeping the torch of Masters of the Universe burning since 2016. Discover what exciting things are in store from the purveyors of all things popular culture at the Super7 Super Awesome panel featuring Brian Flynn and Josh Herbolsheimer. Applause.
Hello. I'm even shorter for that microphone. All right.
Hello.
It does feel a little weird to then come up hey, they called my name. I feel like it's a showcase showdown right now. Yeah. You can't, that's the cheating way. You gotta go for it. You can't wait for everybody else to mess up. Okay. Hey everybody, it's PowerCon! And I'm shocked that since it only opened 20 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago that you actually came here rather than buying toys, which is what I would be doing. So, thanks for showing up.
Applaud for yourselves.
How do we, we have to give a signal.
Yep.
We give a signal. There we go. So, if you've been to a couple of these, you've seen our manifesto over and over again. So we always try to frame everything up just so, I don't know. This is sort of who we are. This is what the company's all about, and where we're going with stuff we'll talk about is very much that very bottom line. It's like, let's make the stuff we want, so no one else is making it, so let's make it ourselves. Yeah. There we go.
We did it.
So, as many of you know, Snake Mountain got funded. Yay! So, we'll show you, here's a couple in-process pictures for you guys. Sort of talking about this.
It is real.
It is real, believe it or not. Just a couple little things here, and then also some behind-the-scenes things for some of you that may or may not know it. Just as an example, what you see on the right are the gypsum castings. If you look at the bottom right image of the head, on the right-hand side is the gypsum casting from which the tooling masters get started, but then on the left is the wax. And on the wax masters, those are made at 106% of actual size because they shrink upon casting. So, just some cool little behind-the-scenes things. But there you go, Snake Mountain. It's actually happening. And anything you want to add, Josh?
No, I mean, it's just, we're getting in the process. This is where we start tooling, and with the wax heads there, it just gets into some of the parts that are different materials or different tolerances so that you can plug a head into the side of the gate versus the thing that has to support the weight of figures standing on the staircase and all of that jazz. So we're just working through all of that and moving toward a final product.
So, deluxe action figures. Many of you know about these. So let's talk about some of the stuff we've made here just recently. There we go. So that we had the Voltron figure, which we ended 15 days ago?
Yeah,
18 days
couple
ago?
weeks.
So
like
the last pre-order was including, we had Voltron. So if you see Voltron's a classic sort of deluxe, which we had with this 7-inch format with 2 accessories. And then we also had Toxic Crusader, we had Toxie. And then you notice that Toxie has 4 accessories, plus the grenades. And then we had Ren and Stimpy, which we kind of lost our minds on a little bit. But this set up a really elaborate conversation with us with basically the feedback we've been getting on Masters the whole time. Which is, wouldn't it be cool if all of our figures had that many parts? Which is basically what we start getting with everybody talking about some of the older Masters figures, like, oh, I wish you would have made this head, or this hand, or this weapon, or this other color. Or like when we remade Faker, it was like, I'm glad you gave me 2 armors, but where's the pink armor? And you're like, oh, how many armor sets can I make in one pack? And then, obviously, a little bit of history. You remember the first Ultimates that we did a couple years ago with He-Man and Skeletor. And then why don't, can we do that? Why don't we just move to everything being an ultimate going forward? Let's just not, based on what everybody's been telling us and sort of where we're naturally going with the figures, let's just move to making all of our figures going forward ultimate level. So let's include all the accessories to everything. And
What's next?
what's next? Here, I'll let Josh drive for a little bit.
I'm not sure what's next. Let's find out. Oh, we knew that. We knew that. I think you guys might like ThunderCats.
Yeah. So
You've seen we've revealed these online. We've got these over at our booth currently, and so we're taking that same ultimate approach and applying it to ThunderCats. So you've got extra hands, extra swords, extra heads, extra claw shields, some book, all that stuff. Not some book, Book of Omens. And then we've got our friend Mumra here, and he comes with a plastic cape as well as the soft cape with a little wire inside so you can pose it so he's flying in the wind, or he's hanging out inside and the thing's hanging on him. Same thing, extra heads. Another book, the Rosencrantz medallion, urn of, I don't know, Thundrillium? I can never remember.
But yeah, and then the idea definitely with ThunderCats was much like what we saw with Masters, is like there's a lot of people that weren't around the first time that really want these figures. So let's start back over, let's reinvigorate the figures, let's go back and fix some of the things that are incorrect on them, like change the wrist joints on Lino so that he can properly do all his movements and everything. And give everybody a chance to jump back in on ThunderCats so that going forward, everybody can collect the whole line. Panthro, yeah. And then there's some things that aren't as obvious you'll see in the castings here, but like when we're talking about the spinning nunchuck, like we'll end up doing that where we'll cast it in clear translucent plastic and then paint it in translucent paints so that it actually looks like it's spinning and partially see-through and stuff like that.
Yeah, just kind of turning it up a notch.
Yep.
And then, of course, Jackalman.
It's Hugh Jackalman. Right?
Yeah, Hugh Jackalman. Yeah.
No, it's a huge Jackalman. There we go.
There it is.
It's a huge Jackalman. And then,
Oh, yeah. Surprise.
So, like I said, most of you probably have not yet made it back in, but we've got the turtles on display at the booth, and that's one of the reveals here at PowerCon, is the new wave of Ultimate Turtles. So we'll jump into... Yeah, and we're definitely taking inspiration from the original Playmates toys in this. When we really had a lot of conversations about Turtles, what we talked about is, with a lot of these old, what is your biggest memory of this? And while you may have been really excited about the cartoon, the thing you spent the most time with was the toys. So in a lot of ways, the toys are actually the most, authentic experience that you have, if you will, to what the actual characters are. Even though the comic book was one thing and the cartoon was another thing, the thing that you spent your time with was the toy. So we really wanted to go back to the Playmate toy as inspiration and build that up into an ultimate figure and have that sort of emotional response to those toys when you see them. Like, these feel like the toys I had when I was a kid, but now evolved for me as an adult. I guess, and then we'll go through. Oh, yeah. And 3 of the 4 Conan figures are also on display. This is Conan the Barbarian. We've got Rexor, we've got Thorgrim, we've got Arnold, and we have a almost complete likeness issue resolved for Thulsa Doom, so I can't show him yet. So you can guess that that might be a guy named Thulsa Doom, but I can't show it to you. But the Thulsa Doom's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. So Conan is also the next thing after Turtles for the line of Ultimates. And let's see. And that's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there we go. So then everybody keeps asking us, like, the thing that everybody asks immediately is, oh, well, that's great that you're making these guys, but are you going to make more ThunderCats? I want the whole team. So just in general, this is the plan for just the next year, which is we're going to do 4 figures every quarter, or basically every 3 months. So every 3 months, if you collect the line, there's going to be 4 new figures. That way we can sort of, 1, pace our output, but 2, also pace it so that it doesn't cost too much to collect the line. So every 3 months, you'll get 4 new figures, and we're already in process on 16 more figures in some way, shape, or form. So we're going to be making lots of ThunderCats, and ideally be making them for a couple years. So yes, there's more ThunderCats coming. And then I think the next slide is the exact same thing for Turtles, which is, it's the same thing. Every 3 months, we'll drop 4 figures. And then same thing, if you collect that line once every 3 months, you get the opportunity to buy. And it sort of, it makes it so it's, I guess I'm repeating myself, but trying to be very aware that they're not the cheapest figures in the world, but we want to make the best figures we can make. So how do I make it so that you can affordably keep collecting this line for a long time rather than trying to blitz you in a short amount of time and just be like, I can't afford this. So we're trying to sort of balance that line between how much can we make and how much can the collector kind of afford without it becoming painful or not fun anymore. And is that all?
I mean, that's not all, but that is the end of the slides.
Is that the end of the slides?
That is.
We didn't talking about Modulock?
Oh yeah, there's also Modulock.
Yeah.
There's Modulock, there's Mantenna, there is Grizzlor.
So for those of you that collect Reaction, we have at PowerCon here, we have the 4-legged Modulock. That is debuting here at PowerCon. We have
Mantenna, a toy accurate color with the popping eyes, and a toy colored Grizzlor reaction as well.
Yep. And then a couple other things that we've got the pins, like we've got the Castle Grayskull that opens up, the pin that opens up, you can see the whole Grayskull. We've got the pennants. And then a little later this year, we're also going to make the Dungeon sticker rug available again. A lot of people ordered it last time. It was a made-to-order item, but it's probably one of the single most requested things that we get that people missed was the dungeon rugs. So we're going to make another production run of them and do another made-to-order on the dungeon rug. Actually, we ended up just ordering them, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because it was too complicated to do made-to-order. So I think they're November?
Yep.
November. So we're going to have more rugs in November. So if you missed the rugs,
There you go.
more rugs in November. And we breezed through this in like half the time we thought it was going to take. We thought we were going to talk about this stuff for much longer. So I think we're early.
Questions?
Yes, which I'm sure there's
Step
more
to the
than
microphone,
one.
please.
All right. Step up to the mic.
There you go. Okay, karaoke. All right.
Okay, with the dungeon rug, is there any chance we could get the trapdoor rug?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't think there's not. Making the rugs isn't terribly difficult. It's just more, can we get enough sold to make it sort of worth the hump? But there's no reason. I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that worked. We were kind of surprised, to be honest. And it's sort of like pendants and some of this other stuff. We sit around sometimes, we're like, oh, we should make another rug. Crap. You just don't think about it on the top of your head because we're focused on the toys. But there's no reason why we shouldn't or couldn't make a trapdoor one. We need to. It's not a bad idea at all.
It's a good idea.
Oh, well, there you go. I did a double negative and he made it positive. So there you go.
Hello, David Clark, owner of adultcollector.org. Good to see you.
How are you?
Good. I'm very excited for the Ninja Turtle line. So happy that it's based on the PlayNation toys. So, people who want to buy a whole bunch of foot soldiers.
You mean like army building foot soldiers?
Yeah.
That's a radical concept. Wait.
Will people be able to just buy a bunch of them, or will they have to buy the whole set?
If you'll notice on the ThunderCats Ultimates, going into Ultimates, we made a conscious decision there's no more set purchase necessary, so you can buy as individuals. I know the set purchase thing was a little problematic for some people before, but especially when we were in the further reaches of Masters, there was sort of like a low tide that we had to get to across all figures to sort of just get them made. So we had to guarantee that we were going to get there because you never knew which figures were going to perform well and which ones weren't. It's like trying to think of like good examples of like which figures were like probably would not have made the cut if we hadn't done the set.
Yeah, maybe Granita would have been close.
Yeah.
Katrina might have been close.
Yeah, those figures probably would not have been able to be made unless we were making people buy sets, just because when we were doing that where you could buy the set and then add on, we could sort of tell how popular the figures were by how many add-ons we got. And those figures probably would not have been able to be made if we didn't do sets. But going into Ultimates, what we really talked about a little bit was it's too expensive at that point, I think, to make people buy the sets. Obviously, more people are aware of who we are now, so we felt like we needed to sort of make that transition into being able to just sell as individuals and buy as individuals. So back to the question, you can buy as many foot soldiers as you want. You can only buy foot soldiers if you want.
Good morning, Serge from Hollywood. I've got one question. First of all, thank you for reviving the flame on the Masters of the Universe because your work is amazing and you open the door and you create this trend of vintage-like figures and I think it's amazing. So thank you for that. And my question is, on the Club Grey School, when are you going to release a Ram Man and an Orko for the line? Because we don't have them. On the Club Grey School,
Ram Man?
The Ram Man and the Orko for the Club Grey School line hasn't been released, so are you planning to do it as a Wave 5?
We didn't get to either of those by Wave 4, so that's just a future of Club Grayskull question.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were planning to release Ram Man and Orko to complete the line.
We would love to make them.
We would love to make them, but I think right now, the question that's probably underlying that is what right now, as Mattel is now making their 5.5-inch highly articulated figures, basically we will not be making deluxe figures or 5.5-inch figures for right now while they're doing their stuff. It's an open-ended question to whether or not we will be able to do it a little bit later on in time, but sort of the plans are very fluid and change fairly regularly. So I don't know exactly where or when. Our hope is that we will be making that again soon, but I don't know where or when.
Okay, so, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to make it.
Hey, Chris Epps from Augusta, Georgia. My question kind of follows along with his, since y'all are kind of taking a back seat to the Masters of the Universe stuff now, but you have the ThunderCats license. Will it be possible to do, or doable for the powered up version of Battle Cat in the ThunderCats He-Man comic?
It falls into that sort of same scenario right now. Obviously, there's a lot of interest on Mattel's side, which is wonderful, because they're going to be able to get it into places that we can't, and you're going to be able to find it in places that we can't get to. but I don't know 100% if they know exactly. That sounds wrong, but like the plans and where they're going with the product keeps moving. So our goal and plan is to still stay attached to them as we have been. And so that as they define further and further, once their product comes out, once they know what they're selling and who they're selling to, that then we can then step back into the places that they are not selling and do the lines that they are not doing. So at that point, once that part gets figured out, then I can sort of start coming back in and going, okay, here are the characters and here are the vehicles or cats that haven't been made.
All right, thank you.
Hey, I'm Alex Rowe from Boston, Massachusetts. Thrilled to see the resurrection of the ThunderCats line. My question has to do with, are there any future plans for ThunderCats play sets? Cat Slayer, Tower of Omens,
You are not the first person to ask.
Yeah.
And the answer is, can I finish Snake Mountain first, please? It's like, let me get through that one, and then when we got through that one, then I can start talking about, because everybody's immediately like, what about this playset? What about this playset? What about this vehicle? What about this? I'm like, hold on. I've got to give birth to this baby, and then I can talk about the next baby. So, yeah, it's the same thing where it's like, it would be awesome to be able to make that. There's a couple, there's a lot of really cool stuff, but it's sort of like, I need to get this next one going first. But yeah, we're into it, but not yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tim. I had a question about the packaging for the figures. How far along are you on that? And is it possible that we could see a Comic-Con exclusive before the line rolls out for the ThunderCats?
Okay, it was quiet, so I missed the first part. You asked me something about the packaging.
Oh, how far along you are with the packaging for the ThunderCat figures and your direction?
So with the packaging, we've got about 3 different concepts that we're looking at right now, and we're going back and forth between all of them. We'll probably have it nailed down, I would say, within the next month at the latest, and then we'll post some pictures of what it'll be. It's just sort of like, how do I make sure that this system can work for everything we're making over the next year and a half? So we're just trying to work through that, because we'll get some ideas and it'll be like, oh, and then all of a sudden it turns into like a giant origami bird with 17 panels. We're like, okay, now it's $10 to make a box. Okay, we're not doing that. Okay, well, what about this? So we're still just going back and forth on the format of the packaging, but it'll be cool.
As an interjection, is one of those packaging concepts a retro packaging for ThunderCats?
That's in the running, something along those lines. Yeah.
We would be, no, we're going to totally make it brand new. We're going to reinvent it, man. No, yeah, there's definitely, it's going to feel like ThunderCats.
Yeah.
Yeah, my goal is to make the fish hook go into you as much as possible. So when you see it, you're like, oh, I hate those guys. That's the goal. I want to have pure hate as your reaction. Followed immediately by immense love.
Yeah.
And the second part about, could we see a Comic-Con exclusive part of the 16 figures in production, or?
I think right now, to be honest, I haven't even figured out what we're doing at San Diego next year yet, because it just happened. I mean, we're talking about it already, but I'm sure during some course of the year next year, we'll probably find a place to make something one-off, but I don't know where or when yet. Right now, it's pretty much been focusing on just getting the line started.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of pretty natural concepts for exclusives and one-offs and things like that we've been talking about. It's just where they go.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Nick. You're my heroes for making ThunderCats. Thank you so much for that. I'm just wondering what all your license covers. Will you be able to do reaction, Keshi, all of the different things that you're doing now?
Yes.
Yes?
Okay. But as we said, like the thing is, like somebody asked me the same question earlier, and I was like, The first thing though is like, before we get to any of it, let's make sure we get the ultimate deluxe version. Wow, that sounds dramatic. Is to get the ultimates done first. Let's get back to the toys that were started. Let's go back, update, tweak, fix, and then get that line started. And then we'll start figuring out when we come into reaction, when we come into Keshi and some of the other stuff. But I like making as much stuff as I can because I like making stuff. So
Keep doing that, because I could use new bed sheets, gym bag, pajamas. I'll just leave my credit card with you now. It'd be easier.
I got you an adult onesie with the flip bottom.
Deal. It's a deal. Taking these shoes off now.
It's gonna be great. We're gonna make flip flops. It's gonna be awesome.
And just to plant a seed, and then I'll go. There were a lot of figures that weren't released in the LJN line. I would love to see that format come back. Just saying.
One formatted.
Okay, deal.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
I gotta get the ultimates out first.
How's it going? I'm Sean from San Diego. So I'm real excited about the ThunderCats, the Ninja Turtles, all the classic scaled stuff you're doing. So my question is, I know you guys have put out some licensed G.I. Joe stuff. Is there any chance we might see some classic scaled G.I. Joe figures down the line?
We have talked about it a lot. It's a very, I'm like, what can I say, what can I not say in that? It's a tricky subject only because within Hasbro, they're trying to figure out what they want to do with it. So until they figure out what they want to do, they can't tell me what I can or can't do.
Yeah.
We've had multiple conversations over the years, and they're like, this is all really cool, but we still don't know what we're doing, so I can't let you do anything.
Well, if you ever can do it, I think it would be a hit.
Oh, no, trust me.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I've got lots of plans and designs on G.I. Joe.
Cool.
When and where, I have no idea, and if ever, but it's definitely conversations that we've had multiple times, and we're actively trying to pitch them something right now that I hope does a workaround, but even then, like, as Mike Hasbro contacts tell me, it's like, this has like a 10% shot of happening. I'm like, that's more than zero, so let's see.
All right, well, cool, man. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for taking the time to come talk with us today here. My question is getting back to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the Army building. I saw there was a Mouser with Baxter Stockman. Is there any chance of like a trash can full of Mousers or anything like that?
You want to answer that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. I think initially Mouser will come with Baxter, but then as we get further down the line, with Masters and some of the other lines, we've had a lot of requests for accessory packs and things like that. So we don't have anything specific set at the moment, but there could be there's something interesting in there where we might be able to open that door up.
Josh is being a little cagey. I mean, we've had the same discussion, like, people are going to want all the Mousers.
Yeah,
then it's
for
like,
sure.
is it an open mouth mouse or closed mouth mouse? It's like, then you get into that, and it's like, at what point are we going to make like a Mouser pack with a variety of Mousers so you can have that? And then we just kind of went, okay, let's focus on getting these figures done, because then we get derailed. But it's the same question that you're asking is something we've talked about, and if it's something we've talked about going there, but if we go there, then how many different sculpts of the Mouser are we doing? How many do you come in a pack with? It sort of unravels a bit, and we've sort of been like, I need to focus on this right now, but it is something we have discussed.
Great, thank you.
Hey Brian, Jeff Yoders from Chicago. Wanted to ask you about tariffs were going to go on toys in September from the ones from China and things like that. And they moved that back to December and said that, okay, well, we want to get the Christmas season in first. If that ever happens, we've talked about this a little bit on the Facebook page and things, but if that happens, is there a chance that things we've committed to, like ThunderCats, Snake Mountain, things like that, could see price changes because of the tariffs?
Nothing you've committed to will change, but pricing going forward will change. And you're seeing that a little bit. I mentioned it to somebody earlier. You're seeing it a little bit in what we're doing in the transition to Ultimates. They're going from 35 to 45. One part is because they're coming with a lot more accessories, but two is we're building in for that 10% right now, because even though it got pushed to December, it's happening, and the reality is, in what we talk about, looking at what the other toy companies are doing, most all of the other toy companies, meaning Hasbro, Mattel, Spin Master, all these people are already planning for 25% tariff increases to go into all of their goods, and are planning to make one price change once to cover the whole thing. So we've sort of built in a little bit on that for the Ultimate already, so that we don't have to change the price again later. And then we sort of have a backup thing of like, come December or whenever, we're going to have to move again. The reality is, even though they devalued the yuan, factories like the toy factories don't bill us in yuan. They bill us in dollars because they want their revenue tied to the global currency, not to Chinese currency. So devaluing the yuan doesn't help us at all. Somebody like Apple that probably buys and deals in currency, that probably makes a difference. But for us, we get billed in dollars, so it doesn't change our billing no matter what happens to the yuan. And then secondarily, when it comes to port, that's when the taxes happen. So the taxes never happen in China. And the real reality, the funny part about this is, while this is always being escalated as a trade war thing, the tricky part about what this really kind of comes down to is, within the country, it is a bad political move to raise personal income taxes, because we're obviously in a massive deficit and everything else like that. But in a place like this where they put it on consumer goods, it's an invisible tax to the consumer. Instead of raising your personal tax rate, I can raise your consumable tax rate, and then you don't see it the same way.
It's money going on stuff you buy.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's just a different way to raise taxes without raising your income tax, so that I don't get blowback on it on a political level.
Thank you for your candor.
There you go. So now we're going to talk about the global social impact on...
Something a little simpler. Hi, my name is Tim. I'm from Connecticut. I'm a big fan of the Ultimates line and kind of how you've expanded it beyond Masters of the Universe and are taking up a lot of these 80s properties. Any thoughts to expanding it out to some of the quote-unquote lesser-known 80s properties like Silverhawks, Brave Star, Black Star?
Silverhawks is actually the one we get asked about the most, and not just from American collectors, but especially South American collectors, because Silverhawks was massive outside of the States. And this may be one of those things, I don't know if you guys know this, but Masters of the Universe is way more popular in Mexico than it is here. It's massive in Mexico, which is such a different thing. So it's why we make the Los Amos packaging for unboxing every year. We've talked about it. It's one of those things where it's like, Silverhawks especially, is like, that's a really cool thing to get into, but it's also sort of like, okay, just getting ThunderCats started, just getting Turtles started. It's like, Silverhawks is a great thing that we need to get to, but like, how do we not only pace ourselves in terms of what we can manufacture and sculpt and get out in the quality level we want, and how do I make it so that I don't make so much stuff that you can't afford to collect online? So we're trying to figure that out, but yes, I would love to be making some of those lines, but not in 2020.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
So does Super7 have permission to continue making muscle figures for Masters of the Universe and Reaction He-Man figures?
Reaction right now, we still have the rights to do, and we're continuing to make Reaction figures. Muscle technically went away, I think before Comic-Con, but we had already sort of made a move to Keshi Surprise anyways, because Muscle's just an American name for Japanese Kinnikuman Keshi figures sold to American customers. So we just went to the original source and just started calling it Keshi instead of Muscle. And yeah, so we're still making it, it just won't say Muscle, it'll say Keshi Surprise.
And as the muscle line grows and grows with Super7, any chance we're going to get a wrestling ring?
We haven't made a wrestling ring yet, only because we haven't made any wrestlers yet, except for the WWE ones, which Mattel released, but then sat in a warehouse. So I think now you can find them, what is it, Five Below is who's getting them? But those were like sculpted by us, made and manufactured by Mattel, and it was a Mattel times Super7 collaboration. But then the people that worked on that project left Mattel, and then Mattel decided to basically kill it. So, but the reason that you had a ring beforehand is because they're Japanese wrestling figures from Kinnikuman, and they had existing tooling, so they just brought it over. Okay. But in the figures that we've made, they haven't been wrestlers, so we haven't made a wrestling ring yet. But there may be some other wrestler stuff that we are making fairly soon. And then, in as much, then we would make.
Awesome, thank you.
Does that even answer your question at all?
Yeah.
Hi, 2 questions. With Reaction, what's the future for Aliens?
Aliens? When does it come out?
Aliens is late 2019, beginning of 2020. We get into colonial marines, alien warriors, all of that. And
because I know at Toy Fair we showed the 3 alien warriors, because there's 3 different colors in the movie, so we did 3 different sculpts for the 3 different colors. And then we showed...
It's Hudson, Hicks, Bishop, Ripley, Newt, Vasquez.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then second question, with regards to Reaction also, any thoughts of ever doing Battle Cat or Panther in that scale? Like the old Dubek, you could just put the figure
I
inside?
can't say anything about that.
Oh, okay.
Soon.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I just want to say I'm really appreciative. In 2019, I can collect Ninja Turtle, ThunderCats, He-Man, just in general. So that makes me really happy, and I know the toy community can be very picky and very choosy and have a lot of ideas that they throw y'all's way, and the way that you address a lot of this stuff on social media, I think, is really good. And the fact that you're taking the time to answer our questions, we really appreciate it. Thanks.
We couldn't do it without any of you, so.
Oh, well, I mean, you
we're
make
happy
a...
to hear from you.
Well, thank you. You make a kindergarten teacher lion-o. I'm gonna buy it, dude. It does whatever it is. It doesn't matter. So I'm just happy that these exist. But you may have answered this already. I've always wondered who does your artwork on your Reaction figures, because all of them are incredible. And I was just always curious.
You're talking about the painted
The
backgrounds?
painted backgrounds that you have, because I just like it so much. I never open them. So I just think the artwork is incredible.
I mean, it varies. The master stuff is all Jason Edmiston,
Okay.
who's amazing artist.
Yeah,
He's
awesome.
doing the artwork for the Snake Mountain package as well. We use Ed Repka he did Planet of the Apes, a bunch of our heavy metal stuff, and then from there, there's some of it is internal, some of it is other, just a variety of who is right for that particular project.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And to that point, maybe, I do get a bit where people are like, oh man, I'm sorry you don't hear, all the toxic fans or this or that. The reality is what we always say with that is the people wouldn't be out there sort of yelling at us so much if they didn't care, because it's the same thing where it's like, I really want this thing and you made it the different color than I had imagined it in my mind, and it's so close to what I wanted, but it's not there that it drives me insane. And so, for us, it's very much like, we don't really look at it so much, when it's just the Super7 sucks, fuck off. We're like, whatever, I don't need to worry about that. But when it's the guy like railing about how like the sword is the wrong color, that's actually stuff that we go, oh, let's really look into that, because there's a reason that's there. It's because that guy really actually cares. Now, he may not be able to express it in a proper manner, but the reality is people aren't going to get about this stuff if they don't care. If it was just a figure, they'd be like, whatever, don't care. But they do care, and that's why you get some of these unhinged responses sometimes. But we just try to sort of look through that and try to find out what the real reason is they're upset, because a lot of times there are some nuggets in there that we can learn from, of like, oh, I wasn't paying attention to like, it's the same thing. Like, I'll get a prototype and look at it, and I make my notes. Josh looks at it, he sees things that I don't see, and I see things he doesn't see. There's always going to be something that somebody else sees that we don't see. So we're always trying to make it better.
So we have 5 minutes left, so we have to go into a speed round. So every question has to be an answer has to be less than a minute.
I'm not good at that.
So quickly.
For the upcoming ThunderCats release, those waves, are the Lunatics part of any of those 16 characters?
They're involved somewhere. Maybe in the first 16 we'll get a little bit of that. Maybe wave 5, 6.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So I'm super stoked that you're doing the Conan figures. Are you thinking of doing any more comic book related Conan figures in the future?
Clearly we have a few ideas. There's nothing on the docket right now. We've got other Conan stuff in the works, but nothing else from the comics as we speak. But that same thing, it's also one of those things where I don't think we've really considered it. So maybe we should look into it.
I'd buy them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey guys, last year at PowerCon, Mattel was kind of dangling that ThunderCats carrot. Flash forward now, it's officially you guys taking it on. Just curious, like at what point was that decision made, or why was that decision made, or were there already kind of pending decisions when they did that, and how did that work out?
I think what you saw last year was actually perceived very different from the fan side than what was happening internally corporately. What happened last year was the team inside saying, we really want to make Masters and the kinds of toys that we make a priority. So they brought everything that they had been working on and put it back out on display to show corporate leadership at Mattel how excited people were. So it also included things, included a lot of the 12-inch dolls. It included the ThunderCats. It included a bunch of the other stuff. So it wasn't so much like, hey, this is what we're doing again. It was a team inside saying, we need to show you that there's an audience and excitement for this again. And that's where they were using that as sort of a staging ground for their internal discussions. But it wasn't so much a, hey, come look, we're making this again. And that probably wasn't as clear because it was a bit more of a, they were trying, that was with the hashtag, they're trying to push people, you need to pay attention. So it was a really great move by the internal team to really sort of push that sort of, agenda, for lack of a better description.
And I definitely did get that. I did pick up on that vibe, but you guys had to have already been in talks to do it anyway at that point.
That's not a question. Next, please.
Wow. Here, you can ask that question.
Big fan of the toys and really excited that you have the Conan the Barbarian coming. I just want to check, I guess the Grace Jones fan in me wants to know, is it a one-off? Or are there potentially more waves coming?
We're working on it right now. The second movie is a lot of likeness licensing issues, so we're working through all that. But yeah, we're trying to get all of the Destroyer in place.
Awesome, Bort. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hey guys, became a fan since the beginning. My question is, with the success of the He-Man line, are we going to see some line from the '89 series? From
the new adventures?
Yeah.
In the immediate future, probably not.
Only because we don't have the license to make it anymore.
All right, but a year from now?
There's a lot of stuff still to be made, a lot of stuff I'd like to be made. That becomes more of a Mattel decision on when and where they're going to let us make that stuff. So as their plans solidify, hopefully we'll be able to get back into it.
All right, cool, thanks.
Hi, ThunderCats question. Are you confined to just the original toy line, or can you do the cartoon and comic books and other media?
Everything.
Thank you.
ThunderCats question also. Wave 2, I know that you didn't show it, but can you maybe name drop like one character?
This is always the thing. It's like, I just showed you wave one.
I'm not asking about specifics, but just.
No. I think right now, it sounds a little rude, not rude, I don't know, but it's sort of like, okay, I need you to focus on wave one, and when I'm done with wave one, then I can work on wave two. But we'll tell you in a little while, but not quite yet.
Okay.
But it'll be cool. It's gonna be rad.
And that is exactly time. So applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.